Before we get into today's video, I would like to issue an apology. If any of you guys watched the race we did at Charlotte a couple of days ago, you might remember I had a small coming together with Stuart Friesen during that race. At the end of lap 51, the two of us made contact in the event on the front stretch, and I blamed Stuart Friesen for trying to turn me in that moment. Upon further review, after looking back at the footage, not in the heat of the moment, it's safe to say it was my fault. I completely cut across his nose. Hello everyone and welcome back to round 12 of season 2 of the NASCAR 25 career mode, where today we head to Nashville Super Speedway. Of course, if you missed out that aforementioned video from Charlotte, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. It was still a very entertaining race, but yeah, Stuart Friesen and I came together. I might have put all the blame on him. It's safe to say I might still need to be a bit better at kind of working out just how long these trucks are inside this game, because I definitely cut across his nose. Taking a quick look though at our championship standings before we head into this weekend. Lane Riggs, a huge amount of momentum behind him at the moment. Now 3 wins to his name as well, so tied with Corey Heim for wins. Only 8 points behind him as well. I think those two are still our championship favourites as we head towards the playoffs there. Of course, it's only myself, those two, and Jack Woods still locked in. As Chandler Smith there, Tyler Ankrum, Ty Majeski, Hemrick, Carl Busch and Grant Enfinger, all still looking for wins to add to their campaign. But yeah, I mean, we've got a few more races, of course, before those playoffs begin. Of course, they are in round 19 of the season, so we've still got a lot of interesting venues to head to before then. And today we're heading to Nashville, which I don't believe I've ever raced at before, so this is going to be a bit of a trial by fire. We have got a few other bits and pieces, though, to sort out first of all. It's either going to be pit stop practice or sponsor meetings. I think we'll take the work points before we head into the weekend as well. We've also got an Xfinity sponsor apparently waiting in the wings ready for next season, so that is reassuring that we know we're going to be getting some cash money through from them as well. But yeah, at the moment though, obviously just trying to make sure I get everything upgraded on the truck that I possibly can. We're going to be, we're going to keep trying to run the level 5 parts at the moment, just to make sure obviously that we've still got a fair amount of work points, but also a fair amount of cash ready for the end of the season, because that is going to be, where we have to apply all of the level 6 parts and really get some upgrades on to help, maintain speed, maintain momentum as we get into the playoffs. Once again, though, I'm trying to get good at checking if there's any new staff that we can bring in, and yes, there is a pro mechanic. David Brown there wants to join the team, so yep, we will be hiring him, and he will be immediately replacing one of our other mechanics as well, so great to see that we can get some new hires in as well there. Of course, a massive, massive thank you to everybody for their continued support on this series. I really am enjoying kind of slowly going through it, really trying to build myself up, but we are hopefully going to be bringing some iRacing content pretty soon as well. Obviously, the NIS Winter Series, I think, has now just begun. I'm probably going to jump into a few races in that in the upcoming weeks as well. And then, of course, hopefully next season I'll take on the NIS Series as well. So if that sounds good to you, like I said, make sure you drop a sub. We're trying to get to 3K. But yeah, I think we're ready to head out then to Nashville. I've got no idea what to expect.
Get ready for high-octane thrill here at Nashville Speedway. Real action is always on tap as the best drivers in the world battle it out here in the Music City. Let's make some noise. This is racing at Nashville Speedway.
Well, this has got to be one of the weirdest ovals I think I've come to inside this game, and that's probably because I haven't been to Pocono yet, but yeah, I mean, this place is not what I was expecting it to be. It seems like it's made of paving slabs as well, but it's still staggeringly very smooth, and provides a decent amount of grip as well, which I guess is reassuring, but I don't believe this is in iRacing. If it is, I've certainly never driven on it, otherwise I kind of would have had an idea as to what to expect then. But heading straight out, ready for what I believe will be our one and only qualifying run. Obviously spent most of practice trying to learn where my kind of coast markers should be. And we're going about the 2 cones then, into turn 1 and turn 2. A little bit higher at the racetrack then than I wanted, maybe carrying a bit more speed down in towards turn 1. And just not quite able to pick up the throttle on the exit. Want to be lifting off just before the 2 cones though. down into 3 and 4 there. Really try and glide the truck into the apron and then get on that loud pedal as early as you can. Shortest run back towards the line. It is going to be a 30.8. That was actually better than what I did in practice, but still only puts us P17. So once again, yeah, the AI getting very, very quick by the end of qualifying there. Lane Riggs, though, on the pole, just ahead of Heim and Kyle Busch. So yeah, the 34, he's really picked up some momentum here. And Corey Heim, who dominated the early leg of this season, well, if it's not me that's going to apply some pressure to him, Lane Riggs most definitely will.
Get on your feet. It's time to go NASCAR Truck Series racing as we go trackside for the most famous words in all of motorsports. Drivers, start your engine!
Well, I believe this is a 75 lap event then here from Nashville, but if anything, that doesn't quite sound long enough. As does the third gear trick work here? Yes, it does. It's so stupid. It's desperately something that they need to fix inside this game, the fact you can do that off the launches there, just to give yourself a fighting chance against the AI. But, of course, no shock after what happened last weekend. I found myself qualifying right behind Stuart Friesen, so hopefully we're going to not have too many problems with him today. I don't know why, though. I expect because of the surface here, I think this is going to be a really horrible place for tyre wear. Obviously, Charlotte, we were having a pit at the end of every single stage. Don't know whether that's going to be the same here. So I might put up a poll at some point to ask you guys whether you'd like to see us kind of do like a single stage race. Kind of bring back old school NASCAR in that sense of, you know, tyre strategy, fuel strategy, you know, was a lot more strategic back in the day as well. Maybe once I've won like a Cup Series championship or something like that. Obviously, if there's no NASCAR 26 in sight just yet, then I might obviously try and mix things up a little bit more there, as already then gaining a couple of places nice and early on. It's a huge run back down in towards turn 1. What I will say is, yeah, the speed is a lot bigger than I was ever really expecting it here, as your Zero just gives me a little bit of a pinch down towards the apron. That kind of bounces me back up towards the number 17 truck. But yeah, Lane Riggs, though, already stretching into an early lead there, as I think Kyle Busch has made a move on Corey Heim as well. I mean, is Heim just playing it safe? Obviously, already locked in. You know, Lane Riggs, Corey Heim, myself are all guaranteed now to be into that playoffs. So we've kind of got nothing to risk. But those two still find themselves battling right at the front every week. I seem to find myself more kind of in and around your top 10 most of the time there. As speaking of, hopefully we can try and get a run on Tanner Gray to bring ourselves one step closer to that top 10 nice and early on in the night. Down the inside wall through 3. I don't quite know how corner numbers work around here. Is it 1, 2, 1 and 2, then 3 and 4, and this is just kind of whatever it is? I don't really know. Nashville, this place confuses me. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those tracks as well that I think if you get out of the groove, it is going to be brutally unforgiving. Ben Rhodes there, running up the racetrack, and Corey Joy maybe just figured he might be a bit slower off the turn. Going to be able to get down the inside of the 07 there and try to move back up towards the high side. I must admit, I do like, obviously, how much banking you've got around some of these ovals. I understand that, obviously, it makes it a little bit easier, maybe a little bit more forgiving, but I do definitely prefer it, as I think, obviously, Charlotte, we weren't quite dealing with lap traffic, were we, come the end of runs. I think the top guys were kind of just lapping the back markers. But I think, yeah, we're obviously going to have more issues with that here. Kind of weird, though, obviously, going back to all of these intermediaries, or intermediates, I should say, obviously, after so many short tracks a bit earlier on in the campaign. I know it's kind of been spoke about before, but NASCAR really does need to kind of spread out the short tracks a little bit more, because they are special, but kind of not so much when they're all crammed in together. Yep, getting the run on Ben Rhodes, though, down in towards 1 and 2. You kind of just got to roll up the camera a little bit there as Ben Rhodes, immediately backs out of it. I don't think he's very confident early on in this stint. So yeah, look at that, we're already down to 80% wear, so by the end of stage 1, we're going to be down at, about 40%. This is going to be brutal. That definitely seems like we're pretty strong off the 3 and 4 then, as Caden Honeycutt in the 45 truck there all wants to give me a bit of a squeeze. Not too sure how I feel being on the high side through 1 and 2, but there is definitely grip. It's a multi-groove track, this. And it works really nicely for us as, there we go, around the outside of Caden Honeycutt and Ty Majeski was another driver that we've had the occasional disagreement with, I think, so far this season. I really am going to try and get myself back in the good graces of some of the other drivers towards the end of kind of the regular season here. But I'm a little bit worried that we'll be leading the championship out of Phoenix. We'll be in a really, really good spot. And then out of nowhere, Tony Bridingham might just wreck me. I've had nightmares about it. I'm really scared that is going to be my world in just a few weeks' time. But we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. Are we going to get the move done on Majeski? Move ourselves up inside your top 10? I don't think I've made contact with anybody yet. My goal today, one of you commented on one of the videos recently saying they would give me a huge sum of money if I kept it out the wall for an entire race. So that is my goal here. Right, come on then, let's see if we can get a run on Garcia then, out of that final corner. Back it towards turn 1 then, it's 10 to go on stage 1. Well, we're already in 10th. Are we going to move up though to 9th? Oh, I definitely don't want to get too high up. Actually, I mean, even there's still grip, to be fair. As Jake Garcia tries to get the run off the corner, but does give you good, clean racing room. So we'll get around his outside then into 3 and 4. That's a good thing as well, if you're on the outside, you can afford just to lift off a bit later and really try and coast in for a bit of a late apex. There is all Garcia again. Not quite able to carry the speed. Come on then, Grant Enfinger definitely seems to be dropping back from the cars just in front of him as well. The number 9 there giving me a bit of a squeeze down through 1 and 2. Can definitely go more aggressive through the entry 1 and 2. I think obviously just where the track kind of obviously you're already kind of going into the corner at a bit of an angle, aren't you? And you can see there the confidence we've got to get around that number 9. But yeah, now we're starting to deal with some lap traffic towards the end of stage 1, as it seems to have worked out quite well for Kyle Busch up at the front of the order. The 7 truck leading the way. I'm pretty certain Kyle Busch has the most Truck Series wins of anybody, doesn't he? In NASCAR, you know, kind of since the Truck Series was brought in back in like the late 90s. Pretty certain he has the most wins, but obviously he hasn't won a race yet this season. And, well, maybe today will finally be his day, as 4 laps to go of stage 1. Despite, yeah, all these lapped trucks now maybe starting to get in the way, I will still want to try and keep it clean and tidy there, as we'll time that run on Benning and Costner nice and easily. White flag in the air then to come to the end of stage 1, and we have suddenly got a huge run on Raja Caruth kind of out of nowhere there. Oh, just I think avoiding the rear end of that HendrickCars.com truck, but Kyle Busch though makes his way out of the final corner, and for the second weekend in a row he will win stage 1. But is he going to get a different result come the end of the night there? Can we try and get a run on Caruth out of the final corner? We're going to try and get to his inside. Will we get him on the run to the flag? Yes, we will. Just about there. As I think he got a little bit nervous behind Frankie Muniz, and maybe an extra point could prove very, very useful come the end of the season. Let's take a look then. Obviously, front tyres are absolutely obliterated. So we're going to take, 2 cans of fuel, 4 tyres, everything like that. And we should be ready to go green flag racing once again, as stage 2 is 3 laps longer than stage 1. That's quite interesting. So clearly Nashville likes to do things a little bit differently inside the game, as the sun has now set, so hopefully that will make tyre wear a little bit more manageable. As let's get ready then to cycle up those gears. Come on, I want 3rd gear immediately just to give us a fighting chance, and it hasn't really worked that time. I think Grant Enfinger there behind me getting a decent run off of the restart. So I just could not quite stay alongside Raja Caruth there by the time we got in towards turn 1. We will get back to his inside there off of turn 2. Down the backstretch we go. Can we try and get in with your Hemricks, your Tyler Ankrams, kind of that group that is consistently, you know, kind of finishing 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, but never really kind of in the fight for the win, it would appear, this season, as I'm sure Caruth there just giving him a little bit of a squeeze up the racetrack. I want to try and go quite aggressive quite early in this second stage there, just see if we can try and get in the mix right up towards the front. There's a little bit of contact there with Ankrum, just giving him a bit of a push off the exit of the corner, and that allows him to stay alongside Daniel Hemrick as 3 wide. This is sketchy, and I'm going to back out of it rather quickly. Where is Ankrum going? Way up the racetrack through 1 and 2, and we will say thank you very much then. Gaining another spot, I hope. He's still there. I'll make sure I give him some room. But yeah, look at that, Corey Heim now getting jumped. Down to P4 goes the number 11 truck. I feel like unless it's through pit stop cycles, I never really see Corey Heim that low down the order. Is getting very, very close to the wall through the exit of turn 4. But come on, let's just see if we can keep up with Hemrick. He's normally a pretty good benchmark for me of someone that I can keep up with, but often seem to just stay behind him throughout an entire stint. Yeah, no idea what's going on with Corey Heim, but he is really losing out at the moment. It's even Daniel Hemrick now trying to have a look past the 11 truck. But yeah, I must admit, I was a little bit nervous after doing my first few laps here. But really, I'm beginning to love this venue. Maybe I do need to drive it a whole lot more. So Hemrick again trying to have a look down the inside through turn 1 and turn 2. I'm definitely trying to use a bit more grip up of the racetrack. It's kind of working for me, but I'm worried that it's still going to end up taking more out of the tyres. And yeah, it looks like Lane Riggs versus Kyle Busch is going to be the battle today. But as we keep saying, when will that 7 truck lock himself in? Of course, all of us multi-time winners, we're definitely safe, we're through. But for someone like Kyle Busch, all it takes is a few different drivers to get a win in a couple of, unlucky races, and he's immediately on the back foot there as well. Hemrick, very, very slow through 1 and 2. I think just maybe took a little bit too much out of his tyres there, trying to get past Corey Heim, and is now starting to feel the pain. But of course, we're going to have to deal with more lap traffic come the end of this second stage as well. There is really trying to be precise with the inputs, trying to get right up to the apron, but being very, very careful that we don't go over it. Here we go. This is the run I needed. Back in towards turn 1 to the inside of that 19 truck. And hopefully, we're going to make the move happen there. Again, I do like to run up the racetrack a bit. Daniel Hemrick, rather wisely, I think, opts to back out. Chandler Smith having a pretty good day of things so far here out in Nashville, up running in the podium places. They're coming under pressure from the 2 most successful drivers so far this season. Corey Heim now really trying to lean on him as we are just steadily bringing ourselves into the fight tonight. Again, obviously coming to a lot of these venues for our first time, we do kind of try and have to learn, don't we, nice and early on, as all that is incredibly wide through 1 and 2. But again, the truck will grip up on the exit. We'll actually get a pretty good run off of the corner because of it. Can we try and get a lot closer to Chandler Smith by the time we get into 3? Yes, we can. So Corey Heim there diving to the inside. I don't think he wants to battle with me at the moment. I think he wants to try and find his way through. Top 2 once again seem to pretty much be gone there, but just biding our time. And look at that, the door opens up to the inside of Heim. Are we going to be able to make the move happen? It feels like it's been a very long time since I've overtaken him on the road. As all we nick the apron. That's going to move us all the way up the circuit, but we only just keep it out of the wall. As again, we might be able to get a run on Heim down in towards 3 and 4. All getting a little bit squirrely, a little bit aggressive with the battles at the moment. As all Heim there actually tries to move down on me slightly. Can't blame him there. I think he was worried that I was going to put him towards the wall, but shortest run back in through towards turn 1 there. We are still banging doors. As Corey Heim is definitely one driver that I have got to remind that I'm not going to get pushed around by him. Yes, he might have the speed pretty reliably, but if I've got a chance to fight him, that is exactly what I'm going to do there, is just tucking back in for a small slipstream down in towards 3 and 4. We will keep the truck alongside him this time around. This is great battling at the moment. Great to see between 2 of your championship protagonists there, as pretty much crossing the beam. Identically timed that time round, as rotated in, hug that apron, get on the throttle nice and early, and there we go, we are through. Oh, Lane Riggs hard into the wall at the end of stage 2, caution will come out. That came out of nowhere towards the end of that stage, but all the way up then to 2nd spot we go, and Kyle Busch then still leading the way there, as we've got 31 laps remaining of this race. I think we're going to have to pit. I think we're going to have to probably do a green flag pit stop in these final stint. So I reckon it's 28 laps. We probably could make it. I think you're going to have to gamble it, aren't you? So we're going to obviously take, once again, 2 cans of fuel, 4 tyres as well, onto the truck. But restarting this race then right up towards the very front. Yeah, understandably there, Lane Riggs out of contention. Probably to try and make it 4 wins in a row this season. Let's see what we can do, though, off of the restart. So Try and cycle up through those gears as best as we can there. Try and keep with Kyle Busch as best as possible. I was about to start talking about how good our pace had been towards the end of stage 2. But that's kind of irrelevant if it all ends up undercoursing anyway there, as Corey Heim and Chandler Smith immediately both trying to make a run on me down onto the backstretch. So nice and easy through 3 and 4. Oh, come on. We've got a lot of fuel on board. So look at that Chandler Smith now trying to make a move on Corey Heim as well. He said I was clear. How could he say I was clear? I thought I saw Rajah Karut there and then thought, well, if he says he's clear, I've got to try and go for the apron. But apparently not there. Apologies, Rajah. That was completely my spotter's fault. He definitely said I was clear. That's hilarious. But clearly, yeah, someone's still on the inside. There we go. We're clear. That's almost into the back of Heim through 3 and 4. Don't really want to try and hook him at the moment. But, yeah, I mean, your top 2 now, neither of them locked in to your playoffs just yet. So they will be trying to do everything they possibly can to win this one. There's 25 laps to go then to the inside of Heim. I don't think we can sensibly win the regular season championship, but obviously the lane regs are way down the order as well. There might be a slim chance to try and at least do something with it. Can we get to the inside of Heim or through 3 and 4? No, we can't that time round. Maybe we can get a run off of the corner though. Come on. Let's see what we can do to the outside. Oh, he really wants to try and give me a squeeze here, Corey Heim. I think knows I'm a bit of a thorn in his side at this stage of the campaign. And although I said, obviously, I want to try and remind him that I'm here to fight, he wants to make sure he does the same and reminds me that he is not here to get pushed around there. It's to the inside of the 11 once more by the time we get in through 3 and 4. Kind of able to stay there. Whoa, a little bit of contact there as he actually doored me off the corner and will carry the speed himself then because of it. I'm not going to have that one, though, lying down. Can we do anything by the time we get back in towards 1? Yes, we can. Just about get the nose there. We're making both of our lives very awkward and allowing Chandler Smith and Kyle Busch just to run away with it. And at the moment, I'm still not able to get the move done. I'm sure Heim probably not too happy about all this squabbling. Can we do it through 3 and 4? Again. Well, again, he tries to use the same dooring tactic there as I'm trying to run him up the road. And Corey Heim will just not have it. Brilliant battling, though, between the two of us as he keeps leaving the door open through 1 and 2. As we nudge the apron that time around, get way up the racetrack. Heim will not be happy about that one, but I have made it through at long last. Just over 15 laps to go then. I want to go on the record before we get into some of the lap traffic. I just simply don't have the pace to win this one today. Kyle Busch just seems to have the legs on everybody through stage 3. Chandler Smith there seems to be the one man that can try and keep up with him. I'm far more interested in trying to keep Corey Heim at bay towards the end of this one. Let's be fair, it would also be quite nice to see someone else lock themselves in to the playoffs as well. And at the moment, Kyle Busch, after a couple of near misses, a couple of times recently where he's come up short, today might just be his day. Still, though, we've got another 15 laps left. Tyre wear might become a cause for concern. We're down to 63% left on that front right tyre. We're not even halfway through the stint. The only other thing I had forgot to factor in, of course, is actually the fuel usage. We are still slightly short on being able to get to the checkered flag on fuel. So I don't know if Kyle Busch is just not lifting and coasting, trying to keep going as aggressively as he possibly can. But of course, we should, in theory, save a bit more fuel towards the end. So obviously the tyres are going to be wrecked, so you're not going to be able to drive around as quickly. And therefore, obviously, you're not going to have as much throttle in on the truck as well. But trying to find our way around some of these lapped cars as well. Corey Heim now starting to pile on the pressure once again. But as everybody just realised, you've got to probably be trying to make it to the end. Of course, it's one of those things where you know if you don't, everybody else probably will. So look at that Heim there getting right underneath us through 3 and 4. Is he planning on pitting? With 10 laps to go then, this is when you get to the stage of the night where you've got to make that difficult decision. You've got to decide what you're doing as tyre wear warning light now just up on that front right tyre. 9 laps, we've got about 7.5 worth of fuel, but obviously there's always a little bit more in the tank right towards the very end. But maybe like a Rajah Caruth, who was hovering around just a little bit further back, is still making the difference here. It is going to be so close towards the end of this race. Is every lap we just seem to be able to save a little bit more fuel. But I'm not convinced Heimer's doing the same thing there. Corey Heim trying to look round the outside through 3 and 4. Again, luckily we're just about able to get the throttle down there, as I think Kyle Busch has maybe just been held up in some slower traffic as well. Yeah, bigger and bigger lifts though as well. Look at that, Chandler Smith now getting really caught out behind some other trucks there. So I think that is Frankie Muniz just in front of him, and maybe we can try and get a run on Chandler Smith down the backstretch. Maybe he's just trying to save some fuel. We're all trying to save fuel by the time we get down in towards 3 and 4 there. As are we seeing anybody pit? Nope, Muniz isn't. This is a risky place to be. Whoa, no, I've turned myself off of Frankie Muniz's front. That was not what I wanted to do. Hang on to it, hang on to it. I'm not going to hang on to it. We're going through the pit lane. Are we just going to keep going? How is that not a caution? What is that? Surely I was going to go straight for the pit. I was basically going for my own pit box, apparently. Oh no, in this race I've come out onto the racetrack again. That is definitely would be a penalty IRL, as we will accidentally join right in front then of Jake Garcia. And a late race bottle. No, 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 no. Oh, that is so frustrating. I'm not going to pit. We've got to try and stay out, haven't we, at this stage? I can't not gamble it now after I've made that error. With just a handful of laps remaining there, but no idea how we've, still got a truck intact. And technically, I still never hit a wall in that scenario as well. But yeah, that right-hand side tyre is definitely getting worse and worse. I don't know at what stage. Can you get a puncture? Are we at risk of getting a puncture in a race like this with just a handful of laps remaining? But we've just got to try and stretch the fuel mileage at the moment. I've got to see what others are doing though when it comes to pit stops. Is Kyle Busch still out there? But I think we're starting to see a few trucks into the pit lane then. 5 laps to go of this race, and we have got 4 laps worth of fuel. So bigger and bigger lifts and coasts. Has Kyle Busch just been able to manage this up at the front of the order? That is the all-important question. No, he's not. Kyle Busch into the pit lane, so he cannot stretch the mileage right the way towards the very end. And I mean, a caution now could potentially really help us out. Corey Heim now to the lead of this race, so maybe he's going to try and stretch it. I think everybody else is going to try and make it happen here. So Kyle Busch, this is a huge gamble. He's going to lose loads of time temporarily, but he will easily be the quickest truck on the racetrack right towards the very end there. I still think tyres are as big, if not bigger, a problem at this stage of the day. But I mean, we are getting halfway down the backstretch before we are lifting out in through 3 and 4 there. 3 laps remaining. Heim still staying out there. He thinks he can make it to the end. As what are we down to? 2 laps worth of fuel. Oh, this is going to be so tight. Fuel warning lights come on now, as that normally signifies that, yeah, you have got exactly 2 laps from there. I'm still not quite sure whether, obviously, 2 laps actually means like 2.9 down to 2.00, or that is 2 and then 1 and then 0, of course, inside this game. All of those smaller mechanics that you've really got to learn. But Corey Heim, is he out of nowhere going to chalk up yet another victory this season? Has he been able to manage the fuel with just 2 laps to go? I think we've saved enough now that we can afford to push. As team, they're just giving me another warning about the fuel. But yeah, I think honestly, remember to lift out as much as anything else because of the tyres here. Surely Heim's not going to dive in with 1 lap to go. Surely he's got to try and risk it now to get to the end. As yes, he will do. Corey Heim starting the last lap of tonight's Truck Series event. He hasn't had the pace throughout most of the night to match your Kyle Busch's and your Chandler Smiths, but it looks like he is still going to come up victorious here, as we are now just finally starting to try and have a look for something on Ben Rhodes down the inside of the 99 through in towards the 1 there. But Heim, I think he has managed this to absolute perfection tonight through the final corner. Corey Heim is going to win here at Nashville. Win number 4 of the campaign for him, and an all-important return to victory lane as well. We're down the inside of Frankie Muniz through 3 and 4, but Kyle Busch, I'm sure he will be absolutely gutted as we just run out of fuel on the run to the line. Once again, what a race that has been here from Nashville. Really, yeah, really did fall in love with that track throughout the entirety of the night there. But Corey Heim managing it right from the get-go in Stage 3. I think, honestly, he had the pace over me, but just was kind of waiting behind, saving fuel as best as he could. Chandler Smith will come through for P2. Raja Karuth, I believe that's his best result of the year, up in third there, ahead of Ankrum, Majeski and myself. We beat out the two ThorSport trucks of Ben Rhodes and Jake Garcia, with Grant Enfinger and Gio Ruggiero inside your top 10. Where was Kyle Busch in all of that? 17th come the end of the night. Like I said, he will be devastated. Well, there we go then. 360 rep for clean rating is the maximum you can get inside this game. Probably not, actually. Obviously, because that moment we had with Frankie Muniz. And I think that honestly looks like it cost us the victory. Or at least the shot of the victory here tonight there. Took a bit of a gamble. And it most certainly did not pay off come the end of the night. Let's hear what they're saying, though, back on social media. Corey Heim wins at Nashville. Nashville was the start of some laughs and spectacularly over-the-top post-race celebration by Corey Heim that left some cheering and some scratching their heads. Wonder what he did then down in victory lane. Clay Greenfield, though, when Matt Beard keeps it clean, it's a real fun time out on the track. Thank you, Clay. I am genuinely trying to keep it a bit cleaner at the moment because I don't want to make too many enemies before the end of the season. Let's take a quick look, though, at obviously all the cash, all the points, everything like that. So there we go. Apparently, once again, I've unlocked the Xfinity Series, so maybe now I can see how much rep we need before we want to try and qualify for the Cup there. As you can see, I believe we scored the third most points this weekend, so pretty happy with that. Only behind Heim and Chandler Smith there, unless, of course, Kyle Busch actually scored more behind me. No, he didn't. So there we go then. Good points picked up. $33,000 as well. And, well, yeah, there we go. Yeah, the body of well, we're just going to have to spend a load of money, aren't we? Everything is completely destroyed now on the truck. So maybe this was a weekend where I should have been beating and banging with a lot more of my competitors. It still only tells me that Xfinity Series unlocks at 75k reps, so I'm going to assume that Cup is maybe 150, but I'm sure one of you guys can let me know down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon out at, I believe it's Kansas? No, sorry, Michigan next weekend.